Straight Facts on Tuesday. I'm joined by Dan Potts. LB is back with us after a week away, licking his wounds after the FA Cup final. Gentlemen, how are you both?
Well,
I'm good, man.
Crazy, bro.
LB, what's happened? We're about to go live and I get a call from LB. Have you seen the breaking news? He went live. Obviously, he's back here on the terrace. And yes, look, we are going to be talking some of the transfer stories you can see in the title about Zubimendi, about Olise Sesko. Going to ask the boys about the Chelsea manager's claim they should be challenging for the Premier League. But all of that takes a back seat to the breaking news that has come out in the last half an hour that Manchester City are suing the Premier League for damages over the allegations made against them. The Premier League wants an end to the associated party transaction law that they've been accused of cheating. Their claim is it's unlawful based on the Competitions Act. They're looking for support from other Premier League teams. The hearing starts in 10 days, but this is an unprecedented move that could change the landscape of English football forever. But Man City sue the Premier League, which we'll throw out, they are 1/20th of. So they are kind of suing themselves at the same time. But LB, I want to go to you first, mate. Obviously, your club, the hearing against your allegations starts in 10 days' time. And City have dropped this bomb in by suing the Premier League.
Yeah, it's wild, man. As City fan base, we've been asking what are City going to do about this situation, because obviously, like, City obviously not happy with the whole rules. And if you've read, I don't know if everyone's had time to read the article because it has obviously only just dropped, but there are some heavy statements in there from City. You know, City feel that like these rules are a direct target towards clubs that are owned by owners in the Gulf states. So basically, he's looking at City and Newcastle there as well. I mean, we all know the rules that came in place back in sort of January time. It was effectively that, you know, some of it was, well, I don't know when it came in actually, but you know, they don't want clubs to have these sponsorship deals, do they, with associated parties? And City are obviously challenging it and think it's unlawful. Is it unlawful? I don't know, because I'm not a lawyer. But, you know, there's a lot of money being spent on it. I'm seeing here that apparently the Premier League legal bill has gone up 300% in the last 12 months. That's their legal costs. So obviously this is popping off. There's huge news here. We've also got news leaked that this 115 charges, which are separate to what's going to happen next week, starts in November and will run for 6 weeks. That is separate, though, as much as the article does talk about it. It is a separate thing. So at the moment, bro, just sort of like City feel like what these rules are unlawful, and if City feel like they're unlawful rules, City have the right to challenge them. Now, whether or not City are going to be, you know, get the go ahead and say you are right, these rules are unlawful, don't know. That's up for the lawyers to decide. But if City feel that they're unlawful, City got the right to challenge them. There are some stuff in the article that I don't know how City would win the case. Like, there's part of what they're challenging is they're trying to overturn the, you know, how to make a rule change, you need 14 clubs to agree to it. City are saying that's not right. They want to overturn that. I don't know how. I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer, but just from like just a layman's point of view, I don't know how you're going to be able to win that, because at the end of the day, the clubs vote for it. Like that, they are the rules. But in terms of these associated party transactions, we're going to find out who's right. Are City lawyers right? City is saying that it's unlawful. The Premier League is saying that it is lawful. It's up to the lawyers to fight out and say. Well, what is encouraging in there? It says there are a couple of clubs that are backing City. A couple of clubs that think that actually City will win. There are a lot of clubs that are back in the Premier League. I don't know. What I will say, this is just a complete mess, by the way. Such a messy situation. And now we just have to wait to see. I guess the good news is, unlike the 115, we're going to find out quite quickly, because this hearing starts next Monday and it lasts 2 weeks. And the 115 wait for years. So,
well, yeah, I mean, obviously, but this is part of why the 115 has taken so long. I know City fans don't like hearing this, but it's factually true. The reason it's taken this long is because City have been directly responsible for delaying it, and they're trying to delay it again now, because if they can get it passed in a court of law, the rules that they've essentially been charged for breaking are unlawful, then their case will collapse. If you can, do you get one? You know, if I'm on a charge for anything, and then I take that, I take the law to court, the government to court, and say this law is ridiculous, and the judge rules and the country says, yeah, actually that rule shouldn't have ever stood, you're not then going to go to prison because you've won that case. So I get what City are doing. The City are very much, I mean, I do and I don't. It's if you've got unequivocal evidence that you've done nothing wrong, which Khaldoon has said, he's made that statement on a couple of occasions that they are innocent and they have not broke these rules. They haven't broke the rules. They're one of the wealthiest clubs in the world without breaking the rules. They're winning everything without breaking the rules. The rules haven't stopped City from becoming one of the most powerful clubs in the world. Why get the rule change if you haven't broke the law?
Well, City is saying, why should a third party decide how much a sponsorship value is worth?
So I understand that claim, but you've got to remember, Man City, along with all the other clubs, voted these rules in 10 plus years ago, and at no point up until being charged have they tried to sue the Premier League. So I understand that. It's a fair point and it's a fair cop. But as I remember asking you this question many months ago, people say the FFP is designed to stop small clubs becoming big clubs. City say they've got unequivocal, undeniable evidence they didn't cheat against these rules. Whether they like the rules or not, they said we didn't do it. If you didn't do any of it, these rules haven't stopped you from getting to this side, so I don't understand the claim. That's my issue.
Well, we don't understand the claim, but what people are saying is for City because City are claiming damages as well. They're not just trying to get the rule changed; they're claiming damages. So if you're claiming damages, that means that it has affected you because you've got to show a damage. So if that has affected Manchester City,
reputationally, of course, City will look at this
sponsorship deal as well, though, Terry. That's what people are saying. It's impacted a sponsorship deal. So it appears that maybe City have had a sponsorship deal done, and then the Premier League have said, no, that's maybe not too much. So if again, it comes down to believing, should a third party, and this is what City is saying, this third party, I forget the name, but it is in the article. I don't know if you can pull it up. Should a third party be able to dictate what a sponsorship value is? Surely it's up to the company that's sponsoring to decide that. Now I know you'll get into the things of, well, yeah, but if that company has links to the owner or whatever, well,
see, I'm not again. You know my view. You know my views on that, LB. I'm not against it. Never have been. My view is we have to protect football clubs from themselves because of the debts they can run up. Question here from Peter says, Man City did not vote for the FFP, Terry. Well, there's no FFP in England. It's profit and sustainability rules. So City didn't. Maybe City voted against it, but City have agreed to be part of the Premier League. When you're part of the Premier League, you are agreeing to the rules of the 14 club vote rule. So they have signed up to these rules and these laws. City could have left. City did not need to be part of the Premier League. They have chosen to be. And that is a choice that they have made. Same as us three and here are YouTubers. We choose to comply with YouTube's rules and regulations. It's as simple as that. We have a choice. We don't need to be YouTubers, but we decide that's what we're going to do. So look, City can't just sit here and suddenly say, oh, it's the whole world's always been against us. You've voted and you've taken part. Would they be suing them if they hadn't been charged by the Premier League? I don't know. And listen, I'm not surprised the other clubs supporting them. There will be other billionaire owners of clubs. Listen, Man United are owned by Ineos. Do people know how wealthy Ineos, the company, are? I'd love Ineos to start pumping £1 billion a year their own money into Manchester United. We'd never have a financial problem ever again. We could build a 200,000 seater stadium, no problems. So again, I'm not against it. I've got very wealthy owners coming into my club as well, but we have to protect people. Potsy, what do you make of all of this? Is it? How do you see it from a City point of view? Do you see this as some people are saying this is an admission of guilt? How do you personally see it?
Wow, I don't know what way do I go with this. Do I look at it as admission of guilt in the respect that you just put it, Terry, which was articulately put, if I say so myself? I think I will look at it in that way for some reasons, in that, oh yeah, we kind of have been breaking it, but, well, we think the law is wrong, so we're going to go down that route. Or do they believe they've done absolutely nothing wrong, and they're like, we're going to prove we've done nothing wrong, so we're going to come for you because we've got evidence to prove that we're innocent. And we're going to come for you now and try and sue you and take you for as much as we can. What way is it? We don't know. With Pep Guardiola's future up in the air, with KDB links with Saudi Arabia, a lot of people are going to be saying, yeah, City are in the mud and this is the start of what's going to be terrible. No more Pep, no more KDB. And they'll be playing Stockport soon. But I think that's a lot of what rival fans are kind of praying and hoping. I really don't think that's going to happen, if I'm honest with you. Nobody knows, man. Nobody actually knows. We can all have an opinion on what we think. We can all have a look at, Hassam will be here. Big up to Hassam, hoping and praying, because I know he's been very, very vocal about Manchester City and 115. I know there's a few other fans that have. The reason I haven't tell is because I have not got enough evidence to prove which way it is. I don't know enough about the ins and outs of it. And if I'm honest with you, my interest forms more on what's happening on the pitch as opposed to the whole 115 thing. But there's a lot of people that are really in for it. And trust me, if they've done wrong, they should have the book chucked at them. But I can't say that they have or haven't. Now, what does this look like from the outside looking in? They better hope that they've done nothing wrong if they're coming out with this statement. That's all I'm saying. They better hope now Man City have not gotten anything wrong at all. They better hope they are 100% squeaky clean. Otherwise, they're going to look stupid because they're coming to sue the Premier League. And then they're now going to go, actually, we were guilty for 115 now, and we've been chucked out the league and stripped the title, whatever the hell it's going to be. So, mate, how do you look at this one? I mean, I've got to say, from a Man City point of view, if you trust your CEO and you trust the people that are in part of the club that are saying you've done nothing wrong, you'd be chill, relaxed. I can't wait to put everybody in the mud who's been doubting us this is going to go well. If you're not sure, then it might be squeaky bum time. That's all I'm saying.
I get the arguments that LB has put up 100%. My job as a host is to ask questions and try and dig a bit deeper. I get that they feel their state and they feel discriminated against. They feel that nobody should be able to dictate a third party dictate the valuation of things. But we have to be very careful here that happens in every walk of life. So LB, I don't know if you own a house or not, but when you go to own a house, the mortgage company agrees to lend you money. You make an offer to the house, and then an independent third party comes and values the house and says how much it's really worth, so that either you're not overpaying to make sure the mortgage isn't too high for you, to make sure there isn't problems there. So there are multiple examples in life where a third party completes the valuation of a deal. So I think that, again, I just want to be really kind of balanced, but I understand how City feel. And it's just come out here again from the same article that at least one other Premier League club has submitted a witness statement in support of Manchester City for next week's arbitration hearing, whilst more than half of the clubs have sided with the Premier League on this one. And look, I'm so looking forward to all of these cases, not because the Man United fan in me would kind of like City to be found guilty, I'm not going to lie, but it's more about actually understanding what's going on, because the problem that I've had with this all along is that too many people like Hassam have been convinced they're 100% guilty. And then you get some individuals that are like, absolutely not, it's a witch hunt. Where I do actually think, looking at this situation, being objective about it, I've got just a gut feeling reading this article. I've read it twice now, looking at the snippets. For me, there's a bit of an admission of guilt, because they want the rule changed that they're now being accused of breaking.
Well, but that's not true though, Terry, because this rule was brought in 2021, and the 115 charges end in 2018. This is a separate thing. This is not related. This is associated sponsorship deals, and this only came in 2021 when Newcastle were bought.
Sorry, but there's been an amendment. So City have been charged with, and they've been investigated for things that are over a decade old, through their owner pumping money into sponsors and then the sponsors paying the club. That's what those emails leaked are all about. Now, there's been amendments and new rules brought in since then, but they're essentially, when you boil them down, they all relate to the same issue, which is clubs having sponsorship deals that are either too above market value, seen as too lucrative, or the company sponsoring you and not actually pumping money into you. Your owner is just siphoning money in from the back door. Again, that was my interpretation of reading these things. So I can see it, and why people would say, well, they're trying to get the rules changed for the things they're kind of being accused of. If they can get,
Terry, that the rules that have been implemented have actually benefited Man City. Like, for me, Newcastle have come in, and they could quite rightly, with 400 billion in the bank, go sign. And they've stopped that from happening. So Man City, if I'm a City fan, I'm thinking, thank God for that. We've got our squad. Everyone else is trying to catch up with us.
I agree. This is what I've always found interesting about the City fans in this. I hear what LB's saying, and LB could be right, and I'm being as objective as I can be. The one element I don't get about City is they say that this is to protect the cartel clubs. I'm like, bro, you're part of that gang. You're acting like you're not, but you're there in the sense of, you say you're innocent, which means you've built this squad organically. It's new ownerships, like City, Newcastle.
No, but that's right though. But again, that's not right though, is it?
It is, and it isn't. And I stand by what I've said all along about FFP. I think City are an outlier. I think Man City are an outlier where their owners have come in. Whether you like what Man City's owners stand for in terms of what their rules and laws within their nation, that's another conversation that I'm not personally having on the terrace. In terms of how they've run Man City, if they are innocent, which they are until they're proven guilty, they have run the club impeccably well. No one has stated that more often than me, and I stand by it. There's been so many multi-millionaire and billionaire owners of clubs, though, that have run clubs awfully. And the problem that you have, if you just allow endless, bottomless spending without checks and balances, I think we could see a vat of football clubs across Europe and the UK go out of business. And I think there has to be something in place to protect it. I think we've spoken about it before. I think City's owners would do this, where you turn around and go, right, whatever your exposure, so money that you owe over a 5 to 10 year period, say it's 4 billion quid, you've got to put 4 billion pound into a pot of cash that sits there, that can't be touched by you ever again, that protects your club in case anything happens, your country's sanctioned, the owner passes away, rules change, whatever it may be. That then I wouldn't, you get no moaning from me, because then the club is protected. My whole argument is we have to protect these clubs. I just shudder to think that all these poor owners and the further debts that some of these clubs would have been in, had they been able for the last decade to spend whatever they wanted to, offer out whatever contracts they want. There has to be checks and balances. Equally, I think that there is room to allow clubs to spend more money as long as the club's being protected. So I think there is right and wrong on both sides in these arguments. Personally, I think that owners should be able to pump money into a football club. My thing is the money should be not everlasting, but there should be enough there to protect them in case somebody pulls away.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But on this subject matter that's broken today, the question is, should a random third party be able to tell another company what they're allowed, what they can spend on a sponsorship deal? Is that right?
Yes.
I don't. Why?
To a degree. So
if you want to sponsor Football Terrace, right? You want to put it on a billboard, right? And the billboard company says 100 quid a day. But you get them told you're not allowed to spend 100 quid a day because it's not worth it, so you can't do it. Is that right?
Okay.
They're not allowed to sponsor football.
It depends on the laws, and that's why this case is going to be really interesting, because there are competition laws, but they work on multiple levels. There's only so much amount of advertising and money that's allowed to be spent by big companies, for instance, in multiple industries. Like they can't have a monopoly on the system. The competition laws work on every level. So the reason why I say yes, I'm going to caveat it though with context. If there's no rules in place for how much owners can pump into their football club, then no, then you don't need a third party. If clubs can spend whatever they want, their owners can put in whatever they want, you wouldn't need a third party, because your club wouldn't be getting an extortionate sponsorship deal from a company that doesn't make any products. Your owner would just pump the money in. So you wouldn't need it. The reason it's needed is because the Premier League and UEFA and FIFA believe, it isn't just City, that clubs are getting sponsorship deals that are being backfilled by their ownership. So they have an independent sort of adjudicator or valuer that looks at it and says, well, this company turns over X amount of money. City's fan base is this size. It's a 5-year deal. How comes it's worth 400% more than Real Madrid's most recent deal? I think we should live in a world where there is that type of regulation to make sure that, and I'm not just talking about what City are being accused of. We have to make sure that football clubs are not being used to launder money. And this happens in all walks of life where big money is involved. Look at just having the Standard Charter. Turns out they've been doing a lot of bad things because the regulators haven't done a good enough job looking after what they're doing. It looks like they've been processing loads of money for exceedingly bad people. And I think that there has to be checks and balances. I'm not looking at this purely through the lens of Manchester City. I'm looking at it at large. We have to ensure there is not bribery. We have to make sure there isn't blackmail. We have to make sure there isn't money laundering in the sport at large. But that independent company that's being used, they have to be reputable. They have to be fair. They have to be independent. So I do think there's room for those individuals if you have a rule that states the deals have to be within market value and owners can't pump in whatever they want to have in the game. I think you have to have someone to do it. Otherwise, you've got a rule that can't be measured.
Okay, but let me I need to pull you up on that though. So let's just use, I don't know, let's use Sky as an example. Right? Say Sky wanted to sponsor Man United, yeah? And Sky wanted to give Man United £100 million a year. And this third party says, nope, that's too much. It's only worth 60. Who are they to tell Sky what they're allowed to spend on this? But it's Sky's money. If Sky want to put the money in, they want to sponsor Man United. Who is this random company to say?
But they're not a random. But they're not a random company. It isn't John from down the pub who's been sent up there to give his.
Nothing to do with Sky. Who are they to tell Sky that they can't spend money on it?
It'll be to do with experts within that industry. Okay, so it's no different to having health and safety turn up on a building site. They're trained and they understand what they're looking for. They're there to make sure that the building is being built within the regulations of the country or the state of which they're being built in. So these will be highly qualified individuals. There are reasons that you need it if there are rules in place. If there's no rules, if there's no laws, then I agree with you. But if you're going to have a rule and the Premier League clubs have voted that things have got to be within market value, you've got to have an independent adjudicator because you don't want the Premier League assessing it, as an example. But at the same time, for me, this isn't about Sky or Nike offering far too much money. All the independent major companies that do the shirt sponsors, the manufacturers, none of these companies are being accused. All the people being accused are companies that are sponsoring City, say £10 million, don't have offices, don't have employees, don't sell products, don't offer services, but yet they're pumping £10 million in. That question there needs to be answered. So that for me is why this is how it reads to me on the outside. That's why they don't want an independent person digging into those sponsorship deals. And this could get even techier for clubs that don't want any independence. The government want to be the actual regulators of this, where you can have the government snooping around what's going on. And at the end of the day, you do one or two things. I think you bring in your own regulators or the government's going to do it. One of the two. When you're talking about billions and billions of pounds, that money, whether football fans won't like hearing this, but you can't just let that money circulate willy-nilly without checks and balances, because that is when forget City's situation. I'm talking football at large. That is when you get what happened with Blatter and all those guys, because you just can't allow that amount of money to be passing around without nobody regulating it at any level, because you will get mass corruption at every single level of the game, internationally as well. There has to be regulators. There has to be.
Well, the question is it legal? Is what the Premier League's doing legal? I mean, we're going to find out. So that's what I said at the start of the stream. We'll find out in 2 weeks whether this is legal. City are saying, who is the Premier League or the independent company to tell another company what they can spend on sponsor? And it's a very, very reasonable question. I put it to you there with Sky and United. If Sky wanted to spend 100 million on sponsor and they said, no, that's too much, it's only, who are they to tell another company what they can and can't spend on? It's a very reasonable question. Now, you've just made your argument as to why they should be able to do that. I think that, I'm not saying, by the way, people in the chat saying, like, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying.
LB's question is absolutely spot on, and it's absolutely right that he's asking that question. My pushback on it is I don't think Sky would overpay. I don't think Nike would overpay. I don't think any, in fairness, Chevrolet slightly overpaid Man United, and 2 weeks after the deal was done, the guy that signed it off was fired by Chevrolet instantly because they couldn't believe, and that was 40 million a year, which isn't even considered excessive within football. This argument really boils down to the fact that there are companies sponsoring particular football clubs that are organizations who don't do anything, don't make any money, don't have any staff, and the question is, how can they afford to sponsor it? What is the upside for them? And you may answer the upside is they're getting millions of viewers and they're growing as a business. But I think football has to ensure, absolutely has to ensure it knows where the money is coming from, that is coming into the sport, and where it's going. We are not talking about thousands or even millions anymore. We are talking about multiple billions of pounds moving from one part of the world to the other part of the world. And I'm talking all countries here. This is not specific to City. There has to be an idea of who and what and why and where this money is coming from. Otherwise, you can end up in the same situation the Standard Charter have just found themselves in.
Well, exactly. I don't even necessarily disagree with what you just said there. Otherwise, you could have sponsors that support terrorism. We don't want that in the Premier League, yeah? But the question that I ask is, and this is what City are asking, and it's a very fair question. And if you can't even accept that it's a fair question, then you are biased. Is it fair for a third party to tell another company, not City, another company in a different country, what they can spend on a sponsorship? Is that legal? Do they have the legal right to do that? We're going to find out in 2 weeks.
We certainly
legal rights. City don't reckon they do, so we'll find out in it. But
We certainly are. Viewers, look, give us your thoughts, give us your feelings. It's a really interesting debate. Keep it nice and polite, though, people, and no getting mad, attacking the panelists, each other in the comments section, because none of us have the answers. We've all got opinions, how things read, how things feel. That's why the court case is going to be amazing. FFP is against anti-competition law. I mean, but it is and it isn't. Again, it's interpreted. That's why the law is great, because there are elements of competition that stop the bigger and bigger organizations and wealthy organizations having a monopoly. So I swear that's why Sky TV tried to buy Man United and were told no. So it works in both directions. IFRS and USGAAP only allow for related party transactions to be done at market price, prevents discounted or inflated financials. The problem is related parties. How can you prove it's like who they are? Well, this is, again, I can only look at this from when I used to work in banking. You would, especially when, depending on what nation the person was from, you have to do due diligence. And then you had to sometimes do what they called advanced due diligence on an individual. And there were times where you would have to ask for information from previous banks, previous employers. There was a guy that came to work in the UK once, I won't say from what nation, and the volume of documentation we had to get from his current employer and his old employer. And it was like, why did you employ him? What is his skill set? Why are you paying him so much money? The bank had to do that because the regulator said we had to do it. So that's maybe what a lot of these clubs don't want, is people digging into their finances. But my question is why? You know, and that's not a City question. That's a larger question for football clubs. It would depend on United. If United owns Sky, you know what I mean, LB. Your face is telling me everything. Just watch this back yourself alone.
Jesus, man.
Sky is a business. They wouldn't overpay in the market. I agree. I personally agree with that. Who sponsors need to be regulated, not how much.
Well, apparently Chelsea are looking at this as well, because Infinite, who sponsor Chelsea, two investors, Todd Bowley and some other guy, are invested in Infinite.
You had Paramount. You had they were stopped. The Premier League stopped them from being sponsored by Paramount as well. I can't quite remember why. That might have something to do with the fact that Paramount in different countries show the Premier League. The company will be auditors such as PwC. Also, if City are able to spend crazy amounts, other clubs would have to raise prices for fans to compete. Fair point. If there is concrete evidence, can't clubs past and present having played during the period in question come together and sue City for damages? Listen, that has been a conversation that's been had many times. I think that's a conversation that we have if and when you're found guilty, because like I said, but they can be found guilty, but it only amounts to £5 million, and then that's a drop in the ocean. If they're found guilty,
this is remember as well, guys. This isn't what we're discussing today in terms of these. This is a separate thing. What City are suing the Premier League for next week is nothing to do with the 115. It's these associated party transactions. The 115 is in November.
Do you think, though, LB, that it could be? Do you think that it could be?
No, all the football all the financial experts on Twitter say it's nothing to do with it. Separate. Okay,
but my point is, if they are, then, so what I'm saying is, and I'm not sure if this is the case, none of us are, but if this comes out that they are saying this law, is this right, and it comes back to say, yeah, there's nothing wrong, and then it comes out, that's why Man City were worried about that, because look, that's going to be linked to 115.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, I get what the financial experts are saying. I would love to hear what legal experts have got to say, whether this is a bit of a prelude and a shot across the bow. But we'll see. This here says Man City sue. What happened to the EPL if they win? This is the irony. They sue the EPL, they win. EPL shuts down. They've got no league to play in. Everyone loses. Yeah, I mean, all they're doing it for is they're suing to get the rule changed. That's what it's. They're not trying to hurt the Premier League per se. They want the rule changed. I get it. If Man City gets away with all these charges, that will open the door for all clubs to start doing exactly the same thing as City have done.
Well,
I mean, depends what City have done. Depends what City have done, though.
That's on that. But on that basis, Stephen, you're just saying that City are definitely guilty, and that's obviously again separate to what we're discussing here. But Like this is the thing. It's a lot of people. There's just no way City are innocent in people's eyes.
It's what I find really interesting about it. Genuinely, is the sort of, this is how I think some clubs might feel if City are guilty. They might sit there and sorry, if they're found innocent, but it looks like they did it, but they're found innocent. There'll be clubs maybe sitting there going, why didn't we just do that? Why didn't we do it? There'll be an element of I followed the rules and I didn't need to. So listen, we have to wait for the verdicts on both these separate hearings before we start to talk like that, I think. Loads of reports of top City players being linked with leaving. Pretty much obvious that Pep is going to be leaving all within a month. Ha ha ha. Nervy is what Jack says here.
That is what I was mentioned earlier. That does look rather silly, doesn't it? That Pep's like, yeah, I might be off soon. KDB, oh, Saudi looks good. It don't look good, does it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it just is what it is. Edison as well. Wagwan Terry, thank you for showing me my three handsomes. Oh, she liked Donna's back, loving us. Like well, you weren't here last. LB weren't here last week. Donna has been on us. All three of us are her lovelies this week. She's loving us all.
Big up, Donna.
Okay, they're the governing accounting bodies there. Appreciate that. Thank you. What a terrible argument. Listen to your own argument, LB. Why in the world would a sponsor want to have a right to pay whatever they want and go above fair market value?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if the company values it at that, and then they get told that they can't pay that because that's above who is another company to tell that they think that is worth the money. They think it's worth the money. That's the argument. That's the argument the City are making. And apparently it has happened because apparently a deal has broken down where City have not been able to get a deal across, hence why City is suing the Premier League for damages. This is what it's about. City apparently have had a deal that's done and they reckon it's been rejected by this independent company. Said no, that's too much money, and the City is saying, who are you to tell them what's, and that's why they're suing them. So again, we'll find out in due course, man. People need to relax, isn't it?
It's gonna be very, very interesting indeed. Man City have 115 charges for having beautiful fans. Oh, there we go. Viewers, make sure like buttons have been hit. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. If you haven't done that already, get it done now. On some transfer news, Chelsea are in talks with Olise and Sesko, according to reports. Those talks have started. Before we do that, actually, Sid, because I don't want to go back on this, Sid here with Super Chat just came in. He says, so City and PSG are only second and third to Madrid by a few million in terms of revenue after being relevant for 10 years only. Strange that state-owned teams quadruple their revenues, but Madrid and Barca move in single digits.
We're just fucking massive, mate. That's all I can say, innit?
I mean, honestly, I do understand the arguments from both sides.
Huge,
I really
bro.
do.
We're huge, man. I went on holiday to Antalya. You should have seen the amount of City shirts on the beach, man. It was crazy, bro. Trust me, man. We're huge. Cry more.
I love it. But yeah, Olise and Sesko in talks with Chelsea. What are you saying, Dan? Because especially Sesko's really linked with Arsenal. Do you think Chelsea are going to pull this off?
I think this is another typical Chelsea scouting system, mate. Mudryk, everyone wants him. Go on, then we'll go there. This Sesko, Arsenal want him. He must be good. We'll go in for him. Olise's a little bit different because obviously he's been playing in the Premier League and banging. I don't know, mate, is the honest answer. There's a lot of rumours suggesting that we are looking at Sesko as our number one priority. And I'm hearing my end that he's looking at Arsenal, not Chelsea. It looks like when Chelsea are in, then it becomes a money game, doesn't it? Because Chelsea will just offer him money. Arsenal won't. So if he goes for the money, he'll go Chelsea. If he believes there's a project at Arsenal, we'll go Arsenal. So that one is really on the player, I think, Sesko. If the rumours are true that both Arsenal and Chelsea want him. As for Olise, I'm actually disappointed that Arsenal aren't in for him. I imagine Man City should be sniffing around him as well. I think he'd be brilliant for both of those clubs. I'm a big fan. And people will talk about his injury problems, but it's not actually as bad if you look into it and delve into it properly.
He's had two injuries. He's had two injuries, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, he's had a couple of injuries, and people are like, "Oh, he's an injury-prone player," but he's actually not. He looks an absolute baller, and his stats, by the way, are ridiculous in terms of what he's done when he has been fit this season. So I'm a big fan. And I think if Chelsea are interested, I think they could get him. It all depends whether the player wants to go there, I think, at the moment. And yeah, it would be a strange choice at the moment, what's happening at Chelsea. I don't know. You never know what manager you're going to have within the next few months. You don't know how settled you're going to be. There's no sustainability with this ownership. It doesn't really seem like they know what they're doing. So if I was a player, I would have my question marks about going to Chelsea. But football players sometimes look at money and go there. And I honestly believe that's what the Mudriks and the Caicedos and those type players have done, because that's why they've ended up there. Enzo is another one. So I don't know. They need a little bit more of a structure in place to see what happens at Chelsea first. But I look at it and think that Sesko being linked with Arsenal and Chelsea, he's obviously the one that what people are looking at the moment. I think it would be a good sign. I think Olise would be a brilliant signing for Chelsea. I think Sesko, I'm not quite sure, if I'm honest, for Arsenal or Chelsea. I need to see more. I haven't seen enough of him. And I think it'd be quite a risk, if I'm honest with yourself, for Sesko, because he's got 13 goals at the back end of last season. And at one end, I'm hearing he could be a Haaland or a Zlatan. And at the other end, I'm hearing it could be an absolute flop of a signing. So I don't really know where to go with it, if I'm honest with Sesko.
What are you thinking, Potts? LB, sorry.
I'm surprised by the move, man. I can't lie. I'm a bit surprised by the move that you guys are signing Sesko, because you obviously got Havertz. Obviously, let's take it back. Yeah, you signed Jesus as a striker, and most City fans told Arsenal fans that he wasn't good enough for Arsenal as a striker, but you did it anyway. You then signed Havertz, who we found out really can only play in that sort of forward position, because whenever he plays in the midfield, Arsenal fans moan about it. And he's actually done pretty good as a sort of striker, false nine, whatever you want to call it. And now you're going to sign Sesko. So I'm going to get a bit confused, because I'm like, what does that do to Havertz? Is Havertz being dropped? Is he being moved into midfield? Is Sesko being a backup striker? Like, what happens to Jesus?
Yeah,
is he going to be a winger?
Sesko will be the backup, mate. I think Havertz will start the 9.
What happens to Jesus then?
I think Jesus needs to go right wing, back up to Saka, or leave, because he's not going to get a look in. I don't think he's played well enough, if I'm honest, to get a look in. I think he's a good squad player. If he doesn't want to be a squad player, then he moves like he did at Man City. Sesko for me is going to be the backup to Havertz, I think, until we mold him into a player that can get in front of him. Now, people like myself will say, is that the one to take us across the line? Question mark. I've no idea. He could absolutely bang. I've seen him and I think, wow, he looks like a really good talent. But I don't think he's guaranteeing you 20 goals. But then I asked the question, who is? Who is out there at the moment, other than Alexander Isak, that's going to come into Arsenal and go, goal, 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 goal? Because I don't know that Ivan Toney would, because playing for Arsenal is different to Brentford, although I do like him. I don't know that Ollie Watkins would, because playing for Arsenal is different to Villa. I don't know that Vlahovic would. I don't know that Victor Gyökeres would. I don't know that Victor Osimhen would. So if we're buying Sesko and people are going to me, what the hell's that? They've clearly got to go and get him. Well, who is him? Because Isak's not for sale, unless you've got 180 million by what Newcastle fans are saying. So do you go Gyökeres or Sesko? Do you go Osimhen or Sesko? Do you go Watkins or Toney or Sesko? I don't think there's a huge drop-off of any of those players I've just mentioned. I think all of them would be potential risks, bruv. So I think the market at the moment, you either say to Arsenal, right, you've got to go and get Sesko now, or you leave it.
So is Sesko a risk?
Yeah, that's what I've just said. Sesko is a huge risk, like the others.
So are we basically saying that the Jesus transfer failed?
As a number 9, yeah. Yeah, definitely. As a number 9, yeah.
So what makes us think that Sesko is going to be right then?
Well, we don't, do we? But we got to try. What do we do then? Just go as Jesus has failed, so we can't buy anyone else. We're now done.
No. I'm saying this is what I'm saying.
You got to go again, haven't you? And get another
this is what I'm saying. I'm surprised that you're spending the money on that position, personally. And if you were going to go for that position, I would have gone for a bigger type of player, like a Vlahovic, like a Osimhen.
But I think that's why they're going for Sesko. I think the money's going to go into other areas, like Zubimendi,
45 million.
I think 45 million for a really talented young striker in 2024 is a snip. Yeah, and that's a lot of money to you and I. But it's top strikers now go for 100+ million. Like if he was genuinely looked at as the absolute man, he'd be 100+ million. Getting him for 45 million, it's relatively low risk for a striker.
I just think
I don't know that if Osimhen. So let me ask you this, LB: do you think if Arsenal sign Sesko, it is absolutely less of a risk than signing Osimhen for 120 million on release clause, or Vlahovic, who's been poor at Juventus, or Victor Gyökeres, who's coming over from Portugal League, or a Tony or a Watkins, who, to be fair, have been Premier League proven, but haven't done it at a top level. And we saw Watkins last night. Apparently, it was shocking. So,
Awful.
yeah. So, is that less of a risk than Sesko at 45 million pounds? I'm not sure that it is, bro.
No, because you're looking at it in price terms. People need to stop looking at stuff in price. People need to start looking at it in terms of...
Okay, don't look at it in price terms then. Look at it in quality terms. Who do you think's better than Sesko out of those players that we guarantee 25 goals at Arsenal? Give me the name.
Well, Osimhen would be better. Ollie Watkins has a proven track record.
Okay,
I think
so you'd rather spend that much. You'd rather go 120 million, huge risk, but let's just do it. And I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just saying trying to work out your opinion of what would you want as an Arsenal fan is what I'm asking. I should say.
My point is, Dan, you guys are not too far away from the Premier League title, and I'm like, you need another centre half, top quality centre half, because you can't rely on Gabriel and Saliba. You got to go out there, in my opinion, and get someone like a Branthwaite, someone who is capable of playing for Arsenal and deputising. Saliba playing 38 games out of 38 in the Premier League. That ain't normal. Yeah, he's not going to do that again next year. Before Arsenal fans say why not, it's the first time in Arsenal's history that's ever happened for an outfield player. Yeah, so it's not going to happen again. You need someone to be able to come into there. I also think you need another midfielder, because obviously Partey looks like he's off. Can Jorginho do it consistently if Declan Rice gets injured? And who else plays in that other attacking midfield position? If Declan Rice plays in the 6 and Odegaard's playing in the attack, who plays in the other one? You don't want to see Havertz there. So I think you need another top player. Like I saw he was linked with Bruno at Newcastle, and I thought, Jesus, if they get Bruno and have Rice, Bruno, and Odegaard, that's something. So my thing is, if you get Sesko here, are you still going to be able to sign a top level midfielder, which you need, and a top level centre half, which you need? And as well, you've still got to pay this money for David Raya, according to Fabrizio, which is 25 million.
They must have the money, Arsenal, to do.
If they've got the money, if they go and get Sesko, sign a Bruno or someone like that, someone of his quality, and sign a top level centre half, and get Sesko as well, and keep Jesus, because Jesus can maybe deputise right wing when Saka's injured. No problem. I don't particularly have a problem with it. But my problem is if they sign Sesko and they don't address the other issues in the squad.
Agree with that. Yeah.
I think 100%. Are more important.
No, LB, I agree with that. I've been saying it on the last few shows about Sesko. If Sesko's it's not a good summer. But if Sesko is part of, I'm going to throw names out there. They bring in Zubimendi, they bring in Sesko, they bring in, maybe another attacker like a Pedro Neto, and they sign another top centre back. If they did all that business, I think overall Arsenal have really strengthened well. I don't think goals is per se what they need. They've 2 seasons running broke their goal scoring Premier League record. Probably goals in some of those games, like the Bayern Munich game. They needed someone that could score out of nothing, and they need a little bit more of that in the team. But some of that will come with maturity. I also, by the way, think Sesko's class. And Chelsea are really, a lot of sources close to Chelsea are stating there's a confidence that Chelsea might get him. There's a confidence that Chelsea will get the deal done. They feel the same about Olise as well. So the Chelsea sort of journalists are really pushing hard that Chelsea might pick up both of these players. So again, and it wouldn't be and what Ben Jacobs said earlier on today is that this Sesko deal has got a smell about it, like the Mudryk situation, which again,
that's what I just said.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze.
No, that's all right. I agree with that. And we were looking at Mudryk, weren't we, for ages? And then he was twerking for us on socials. And then Chelsea went, oh, he must be good then. Let's go for him. And it ain't worked out for him. It sounds similar to that. We don't know. I don't know how heavily linked we are with Sesko. I don't have enough ITKs to know what the favourite is of Chelsea or Arsenal going for Sesko. But in relation to what LB was saying, I don't think that signing Sesko at 45 million is going to be, oh, well, that's it then. Arsenal can't afford anyone else. 45 million. We bought Rice for 100 million, and then we still went and bought Havertz, Timber, and Raya on top of that. So I do think we've got enough to go and strengthen the squad. I agree with what LB's saying in terms of the positions. I think if Arsenal were to go and get Raya, let's say, they go and get Diamande from Sporting Lisbon, Bruno Guimaraes, and a top striker like Osimhen or Isak, I think Manchester City fans would be going, "Phew, that's good. Arsenal have done well there." But I don't think we're going to go and get those type of names. If I'm, they would become scary. But I don't think they. I don't think they're going to get Isak, that's for sure. I'll be surprised if we get Bruno from what I'm hearing. So Sesko looks like the option. I don't know who the midfield option is going to be. And we link with our defender as well. So I think the positions that we're linked with.
The midfielder you're linked to. I mean, Bruno Guimaraes' one's going to be interesting. It's going to be a hard one to get done. City really want him as well. So Zubimendi's name has come up again. And again, he's a player that again, Arsenal just seems to be linked to players that I like, and my club ain't linked to them. It annoys me, other than Olise. But Zubimendi, I mean, he's a good age as well. I think is key. It's great signing young players, but when you look at someone like him, he's experienced enough at the Liga level in terms of play. He's 25 years old, turning 26 next year. Zubimendi, for some reason, people talk about him like he's 19, 20 years old, as in, I don't know about the experience. This is a 25, turning 26-year-old man who has got, I think he's played nearly 250 games. He's capped for Spain. I really do think you could do a lot worse than him. And reportedly, he's available for about 50 million. And I know that it's not all about money, but I think what you're getting there is a 70 or 80 million pound player for a lot less, which should then give you money to bolster elsewhere, because there isn't a bottomless pit of money at Arsenal because your sponsorship deals are within market value. So it's
where did they get them from?
We need to assess them. We need to assess them. I'm only messing, but yeah, I think you guys should look at. I really do think that you guys should take Zubimendi seriously. I think there's a real player in there.
Well, I just think it's Zubimendi. Dan, let me just quickly say, I just think it's priority of position. I think you need to position. I see someone in the chat before say, "What's he on about? Centre-back's our strongest position." Bro, you all told me that the reason you lost the league 2 years ago is because Saliba got injured. Yeah? Who's your backup? Who's your backup, Dan? One of those two gets injured. Who's playing there?
Well, this is my point. We've got Kivior, but we have no right-sided centre-back unless Ben White or Tomiyasu play there.
Right. So clearly it's not your strongest. You need cover. Have you seen how many games you could be good playing next year with Champions League? And obviously, I don't know.
Well,
I imagine Arteta will finally take the domestic cup seriously next year, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. Maybe he won't because he's got bigger fish to fry, but maybe he will. And so I think he needs to sign a centre back. I think that's a crucial. Well, Timber. People are saying Timber. No one's seen him kick a ball, man. Played 50 minutes or whatever in the Community Shield, and then everyone's just been like, we don't know how he's going to be.
He balled out against you lot though.
Well, maybe he will. Maybe he'll be all right. But I think Arsenal need another centre half.
A good player, but we still need another defender on top of that. And there's rumours that Zinchenko could go. There's rumours that obviously Tierney and Savage are not going to come back into the side, so we're going to potentially lose them. So I agree with you, LB. A defender is a must. We're going to need to get a backup goalkeeper. As Ramsdale's going to go. We're going to need a midfielder, at least one. And we're going to need a striker. And that's if Jesus stays to play the right wing role. Otherwise, we're going to need one of them as well. So there's still a lot of work to do at Arsenal. What I will say about Zubimendi is I don't know much about him. All I do know is that he's a deep line player. He's not one that's going to go box to box. So what Mikel Arteta needs to do is, first of all, work out where Declan Rice is going to play. Is Declan Rice going to be our Rodri or is he going to be our 8? That's what we've got to be looking at. Is he going to play in that 6 or the 8 role? And I think that a lot of people believed that he was a number 6. And then in the latter part of the season, everyone thought, wow, he's a number 8. We need to work out whether we want to go and buy a 6 or an 8 or both. Because with Partey going, we might need both. If Partey and Jorginho stay, we definitely need another 8. So that's where I'm at. And I think Zubimendi is a player that, for £50 million release clause or whatever it may be, is a player we definitely looked at. And there was a lot of rumours that we were actually going to try and agree a fee for him around the winter so that he could come in the summer. So that wouldn't surprise me if we did go back in for him. I think what Arsenal were doing is they're trying to look for that big name, I think. And I think that if we're not going to buy £100 million on a striker, we're going to go for Sesko. That £100 million could go on a name like a De Jong, like a Barella, I know he's just signed a new deal with Inter Milan, like a Bruno Guimaraes. If it's not going to be that, then maybe we spend that same amount of money on a 6 and an 8. So we get somebody like Yusuf Fofana and Zubimendi, and we cover both positions and spend that much money. So I think that's where Arteta and Edu have got to look at what they want to do. But in terms of the striker, I understand what LB's saying, but I honestly do not see, apart from Isak, one out there that I go, boom, go and get him. It's clear. It's obvious. Isak's the only one I can see, man.
Yeah, I hear you on that. There's some super chats here that says LB making the very point to counter his argument that we should spend 120 million on one player, i.e. the striker. Lol, we need to improve the squad. We cannot so we can rotate and rest.
No, I'm talking about the striker position. So, it was only 6 months ago, Arsenal fans were on the knees for Ivan Toney, and now Sesko's the best striker, the best young striker going. So what's going on here then? Make up your minds, man. Your change of mind's rapid, isn't it? My point is, yeah, Havertz has been very, very good in that sort of forward position. He has. And do you need to go and spend 45 million quid? My point is, if you're going to go and sign a striker, go and get someone big. Go and get like an Osimhen, yeah, someone big, yeah. Do you need to spend 45 million quid on Sesko when you've already got Jesus and you could spend that money in other positions, which I consider more important? You don't have to consider them more important. I consider them more important from my personal point of view. I think getting another centre half is more important than getting a backup striker. I think getting maybe a couple midfielders is more important. I think shipping off a player like Zinchenko and getting a better left back is more important. If you think spending 45 quid on a backup striker is more important, that's your opinion. My opinion is it's not. If you want a striker, go big and go and get a.
I think what people are looking at, though, LB, is that you're making out that we're not going to sign in them as well. We might get both, mate. We don't know. If we go and get a backup centre back after Sesko, what's your argument then? Oh, well, there you go. The argument's done then. We're done. We've got both. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know that 45 million is going to prevent us from going and spending another. That's what I'm saying.
And if that happens, good news.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if you don't do that, because at the moment.
Yeah, and I agree with you. If we go and spend 45 million on Sesko and leave ourselves short, it's stupid. Yeah, because
that's all I'm saying, bro.
Last time, and I remember you and I having a chat about this Havertz thing, thinking, what the hell have we done that for? We've been left in short in other positions, and we spent 65 million on a player that hasn't got a position. I remember talking about that, and now it looks like he's our number 9. So I kind of get what you're saying, but I think we need to look at that. Who else we're linked with? I think Sesko's the first that we're linked with. We're not really linked massively with any other players other than what Terry said about Zubimendi today. So let's just see where we're at, man.
Yeah, but we'll do that at the end of the window. We can only talk about where we are now because
I agree.
Because remember, we did this about Liverpool last year when they signed Zoboslai off the rip, and then they went and got McAllister, and everyone was going, "Oh my God, Liverpool are moving mad," and then they ended up with Endo as a 6, and everyone went, "Oh, that's a bit."
No, you're right. You're right, bro.
My opinion is based off now. Yeah. If at the end of the window you go and get a 6 and you go and get another midfielder, you get a centre half, I'll be going, decent window. I can only judge it off where you're at now as a club, innit?
Yeah.
This year states Chelsea have been scouting Sesko for years. Our wage structure is far lower than Arsenal's. You are talking rubbish.
Well, listen, it might be. I don't know what the wage structure is at Chelsea. I've no idea. But what I'm saying is they have the ability, if they want to go and put him on at ridiculous wages. That's what I'm saying. So I don't think Sesko right now is looking at Chelsea going, that's a much better project than Arsenal. I think I'd be very, very shocked if Sesko looks at Chelsea and goes, I will go there for the project. Don't care about the money. I'll go there for the project. Because I don't know what the project is at Chelsea. It's weird. I don't get it. So that's what I'm saying. So I think if Sesko had the choice, he would probably pick Arsenal if he wanted to go and potentially fight at the very top. Who knows where Chelsea are going to be, man? Who knows? Who knows? Chelsea fans in the chat will hate me saying that because they'll think we're going to go for the title next year. This is our shit. We got Maresca in. What are you talking about? Blah, blah. But let's be real. We have no idea what Maresca's going to be. Is Maresca better than Poch? Is he taking them to a next level? No idea. No idea. So that's why I think right now Arsenal look a hell of a better outfit and project than Chelsea.
This here from Io, he says that LB is waffling now. How is he letting common sense fly past his head? I think he's doing it on purpose. There's no way Osimhen for 120 million makes sense. Napoli are infamous for overrating their players.
That's just, well, again, that's your opinion. Osimhen is a striker that scored plenty of goals. You want to spend 45 million on Sesko? Fine. I don't think I would go for Osimhen. I think I would strengthen other areas. But if you're going to go for a striker, I'd go and get someone like Osimhen.
We lost Saliba and Tomiyasu at the same time and had Rob Holding there. That was the issue. Also, I think we are fixated on players who clearly don't want to be here. It's why I'm not sweating, is what
Just
Tevin
on that,
said.
So he is right. Tevin is actually right there because we did lose Tomiyasu and Saliba. However, we still haven't since then bought another right-sided centre-back that can come in for Saliba. And that, I think, is what myself and LB are saying about Arsenal being short at the back. Because if Saliba was to get in, well, who's going to come in, man? We have to play Kivior there, who's left-footed, or we have to play Tomiyasu shifty, or Ben White shifty. And that's not great when you're shifty, all right? There's a lot of shifty.
I haven't heard that word in years, shifty. Lad used to live on my estate. That's what you're called him, was shifty.
Shifty.
You always had something to sell. Always had something to sell. Shifty.
I had one of those. I had one of those, mates.
Lance Armstrong also sued USADA. cheaty. It's true, he did actually, and a lot of athletes who get done for drugs treating sue the governing body to try and make them be worried, but they don't win. Lance Armstrong style won't City sue. This is the funniest quote though. That's from the article that someone's messaged to me. It says that Man City blamed the Premier League for not regulating spending when clubs such as Man United were more dominant, arguing that they have been prevented from monetizing their brand in the way United did. I'm so intrigued by that statement. Do you know why? Because you're earning more money than Man United. It's only Real Madrid that are earning more money than you. So I want to understand how much City think they would have brought in earnings and how they can prove that if they were allowed to monetize. Because I don't see how they're complaining about their growth. It's absolutely amazing their growth financially if all the income is legitimate, which I'm taking their word for it is. But you lot do want to be Man United really bad, didn't you? You really want to be Man United, didn't you?
I definitely
imagine using our name in your lawsuit against the Premier League. It's still amazing. Speaking of Chelsea, we mentioned them already. I need to show you guys something that Chelsea have been on PR frenzy. And this was published today that says, in a meeting with the board, Maresca was asked if he thinks this squad was ready to compete for top 4 next season. And his reply, he didn't come to Chelsea to compete for the top 4. And he believes this squad should be fighting for the Premier League. And he wants to challenge City and Arsenal next season. So the Chelsea manager has stated that this Chelsea team is ready to challenge for and or win the Premier League. What do you make of that, Dan? Are they at that level?
No, they're nowhere near it. It's clueless, isn't it? It's embarrassing, if I'm honest. If everyone thinks this Chelsea squad's good enough to win the title, they are absolutely deluded, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I'm not saying they can't challenge for it because the window is open and they might do something madness. They might go and get a top number 9, a brilliant midfielder, somebody in defence who sorts them out. They might go and sort their goalkeeper out. And if you actually get their kind of window right, they might be able to do something. But I do not see Chelsea winning the league at all next season. I understand why he's saying it, because he wants to try and be this guy who's, look at this, he's got ambition, he's going to the very, very top. But actually, let's just be realistic, because I'm sure the Brentford fans and the club want to win the league, but they're not going to, are they? Because the squad's not big enough, right? I actually don't think the Chelsea squad is as amazing as what people make out. I think they've got maybe seven or eight players that look pretty good, but the rest of them are all young and yet to be proven. Is Madueke good enough to win the league? No. He's probably a good squad player to have, though. Yeah, he probably is. But he's not good enough to start every week, in my opinion, and tear it up and start to win the league with it. Up top, you've got Nicholas Jackson, who isn't a bad player. I thought he was pretty poor, if I'm honest, but actually he started to improve himself. But in front of goal, he is awful. You've got to get better than him. Yeah, they've got to have creativity in their midfield. They don't have any, if I'm honest. Gallagher's probably one of their better ones, and that's poor when he's one of the better ones. Caicedo has been a shadow of the player from Brighton. Enzo, we still don't know what he is. Lavia, I think, is a good player, but he's a holding midfielder, not a creative one. And I think other than Gusto at the back, they've got question marks in every position about who's going to play where. Do they play Chilwell? Do they play Cucurella? Is Levi Colwell ready to start? Is Fofana going to stay fit? Because I rate him if he is fit. Is the goalkeeper a number 1 or a number 2, Petrovic? So in every position you go through the Chelsea squad, you've got a question mark on it, really, other than 2 or 3 that are absolute dead sturts. So I don't know, man. Do you think this squad's good enough to go and win the league? I just don't think it is yet. So they need a good window, man.
Before I answer that question and go to the thing, I want to say thank you to everyone who's tuning in. This is the biggest live audience any Straights Fact show has ever had. So I want to say a big thank you to all of you for that. And thank you to Man City for suing the Premier League. Yeah. So it's... Come on, I'm profiting off of the suing. I'm profiting off the suing is what I'm doing. Yeah, LB, I mean, look, the manager's got to go into an interview and impress. We've all had job interviews. We've all gone in there and tried to impress. Do you think between him and the way Chelsea are releasing this information, they're maybe getting a little bit ahead of themselves? Or is it right to have this type of confidence and chest at this stage?
Delusional. Sacked by December, bro. I can't believe he said that. I cannot believe he said that. I mean, they have been in such turmoil for the last 2 years. Yeah. And he comes out here and says they're ready to challenge for the Premier League. I mean, come on. What are we doing? I mean, have some respect, man. Yeah? City and Arsenal going toe-to-toe 2 years in a row. And this guy comes in. You don't have a striker yet. Yeah? No one knows who the striker's going to be. He still don't know what's going on with the goalkeeping situation. He's never managed in the Premier League. And he comes in and says that. Wow. I can't believe he said that, man. All he had to do is come in and say, listen, we're going to be making progress. Yeah, we're going to implement our style of play, etc., etc. You don't have to come in there and start talking about, oh yeah, we're gonna challenge for the Prem. I mean, he's just set himself up for failure there, in my opinion. And people will say, well, what do you expect him to say? Manage the expectations a little bit, mate. Yeah, what's he doing here? Gassing up the place, trying to say that he's going to be challenging for the Premier League. I just don't see it happening. So, are we going to judge him off what he's saying then? So, if they're 10th mid-table, yeah, by December, which is a fair thing to say because that's where they've been 2 years on a bounce. Yeah, they were mid-table in December last year. Are we going to say he's underperforming? Well, he's underperforming by his own metrics. He's telling he's going to win the league or at least come close. I just think it's a bit of a naive thing to say, and it's not surprising because he is naive. He's very young. He's not managed properly. You know, he's not managed in the Premier League before.
It reminds me. Do you remember when Martinez got the Everton job? And I remember he started really well, if you guys remember correctly. And it just so happened to be in the exact same season that Moyes was at Man United and doing poorly. And I remember in sort of like the October time, this article came out and Everton pushed this out. And I think it was a way of, you know, bit of PR, bigging up their manager and a bit of a passing shot at David Moyes, where I think it might have been, God rest his soul, Ken Wright, who said that he was so impressed with Martinez in the interview room. Every other manager that he'd ever interviewed for the Everton job, including David Moyes, the interview process was, this is my plan to how I'm going to keep you in the Premier League. This is the plan to how I stop you from being relegated. Where Roberto Martinez came in and he had a plan all written out that this is my plan to make you a Champions League team. And he said it blew their socks off because everybody else came into the job interview talking about stopping relegation. He was talking about winning something and or getting into the Champions League. And part of me thinks, well, that's a really good approach to get yourself a job. But you are also then setting yourself up for failure because I see a lot of Chelsea fans getting, even in our group chats, they're getting very excited and very happy, which they're entitled to do. But the manager, unless your club has lied to the media, your manager has said this, if he is not challenging for the league title, he's at risk of being sacked because he's saying this squad is good enough to challenge Man City and Arsenal. So if they're not near Man City and Arsenal, the only reason can be you. And you don't need to put that kind. It's funny, really, because handling pressure is key. Ed Woodward at Man United a few years ago, before a transfer window, said we can do things in the transfer market nobody else can, and it was kind of true at the time. But he should never have said it because all it ever did since then is we got less money for ourselves and we overpaid for every player because we basically said we can, and we created a rod for our own back. And I think that's what's happening. The Chelsea PR, in trying to not just justify the sacking of Poch and the new manager, the stuff they're saying, I just feel like you don't need to push it. Just be quiet. Let everybody know he's a young manager. You're fully behind him. It's why it's a long-term project. You're going to look to improve the team and look to have a better season. Play down the expectations because that pressure that they're building upon themselves he may flourish and they may be brilliant next year, but you're building up the pressure that you don't know whether you can handle yet. And I look at my club, the opposite direction. I love how we're behaving at the minute. I'm seeing Staffy at the minute. Hope you're good, son. Son's an English expression for mate. Don't take it offensively. Just sometimes I say it to Americans and I'm like, you don't understand. It's not a bad thing. And we've got this big debate internally that's happened at the club with Sir David Brailsford and Blanc, who are on the board, have been debating the pros and cons for keeping and getting rid of Ten Hag. Now, the journalists that have shared this story have gone into full context about it. It's not that either are married to the idea, but they're having the conversation and they're fighting each side because they want to have a fair, balanced and objective conversation to make sure they make the right decision. I love how we're behaving. Everything we're doing at the minute is quite quiet, quite reserved. I think loads of stuff's going on, not under the table. That sounds dodgy, but it's a bit like a swan, all nice and calm on the top, but beneath the surface, there's a lot happening. I think that's the best way to behave. It's one of the things about Liverpool, one of the things about Arsenal in recent years, definitely Man City, barring all these things that are going on at the minute, that I've always been jealous of, is that you just even when things are tough, you operate quite quietly without too much hype or crazy PR. Maybe Arsenal have a bit of crazy PR, to be fair. But City and Liverpool certainly haven't. And I think for me, when I see what Chelsea are doing, it's like, say less, do more. Say less and do more. And the reason I mentioned Staffy, by the way, is because he read today about the debate, and he said, I can't understand what's going on. It's good to have those debates. You have to have those conversations. That's another matter, though. But yeah, I just look at the Chelsea stuff and I think you've got a good squad. It may get better. I don't know anything about Enzo. I can't judge him as a manager yet. But saying that you're good enough to be in the title race this early, it's mad. You don't need to do it. You don't need to do it.
They would have actually said, if the statement would have been similar to, we're a massive club, we want to be winning trophies again, we're not there at the moment, we've got to catch Manchester City and Arsenal up, and this is going to, I hope that we can do that with X, Y, Z. But it's not that, it's just like, we're going to be able to go for the title. It just makes yourself sound stupid, in my opinion. Listen, he's got to hope that he absolutely bangs and he cooks, and Chelsea fans are like, well, hey, we've got our Roman Chelsea back. I just don't see a Roman Chelsea. I really don't.
He's also, am I right in saying this? I seen on Twitter today, he wants to keep Robert Sanchez as his number one.
Yes, he does.
I think he might have got the table the wrong way around, man. Because if you've got him as the goalkeeper, you're heading for he's a shocking goalkeeper, man. I'm telling you, he's not a good goalkeeper at all. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. That's already a red. If I was a Chelsea fan, I'd already have a red flag straight away there. Because if he wants him as your number one goalkeeper, that's wild. Yeah, you still don't have a striker yet. Half your team's constantly on the injury table. Yeah, you need to sort that out with your medical staff. There's a lot to go on at Chelsea. And there's a lot to be fixed before you can start talking about going for the Premier League when you've got City and Arsenal up there. And even Liverpool, that's madness as well. So, yeah, wild, man.
Rob here says, why does he not need to say it? That's what you want to hear from your manager. See, Robert, I disagree. It's what you want to hear. I get that you want to hear it and you want to believe it. But there's an element here of sort of a delusion of grandeur. Chelsea aren't there yet. Don't put that added expectation upon you. I keep speaking about this when everyone goes on about standards. Standards only matter in reality. If you're in reality, you've got a chance of winning. And what I mean by that is Chelsea is so unlikely to challenge. Don't apply extra pressure to yourself, your squad, your players, and your club. Don't get the fans so excited that even a good season from where you are may feel like disappointment. You want to bring people along for that journey. Yes, have high standards of getting back to that state, but you were essentially saying this squad is as good as City's and as good as Arsenal's. Therefore, anything other than a title race now is a failure of a season. That can lead to the mood changing, toxicity, anger, frustration, maybe even the sacking. That type of the clubs that do well, typically speaking, have the majority fan base that are on side. So something in that, isn't there? Like, we always act like being angry as a fan, it'll make my club better. Does it? Does it really help when everybody's angry all the time? Doesn't say you shouldn't criticize. There's got to be a balance to this. Making the statement he has made is applying ridiculous pressure to himself and his team that he doesn't need to do. And as Chelsea fans, you know where you're at. You shouldn't need, if Man United get a new manager, say De Zerbi comes in tomorrow at Man United, I don't want to hear him talk about winning the league next season, ending eras, putting that pressure out there. Keep your powder dry. I care about the standards internally and what we're trying to achieve, not what we're saying in public all the time. Honestly, we don't need to do it. This isn't, the Premier League people have got to realize, this isn't like two boxers that have to sell a fight. Boxers have to sell a fight. I saw everyone having a pop at Fury the other day at his quote where he turned around and he was laughing about Usyk being able to beat him. He knew Usyk had the ability to beat him. But all fighters say, you ain't never beating me. I can't be knocked out. It's about selling the fight. Footballers and football managers don't need to sell the Premier League. It's done. It's sold. People are tuning in. You don't need to do it. Keep your powder dry at this stage and stop putting ridiculous pressure upon your team. Honestly. Stop it. Don't keep disrespecting us. We ain't done. Who disrespected Liverpool? Did I miss that?
Chelsea.
Right. Because Enzo didn't mention Liverpool. He just said Arsenal and City. That's funny. That is funny. Caicedo has been a shadow of himself. Come on, Dan, is what Abdi says here.
Oh, you think Caicedo has been at the Caicedo of Brighton, bruv? Are you for real? Do you think he's been good this season, Abdi? Come on, man. Like, let's be real. Caicedo's had a poor season. He's not been a shambles. He's not been disgraceful. But for 115 million, you think he's been great? Come on, man. Seriously, we know what Caicedo does. It ain't this. If you think this is a good season at Chelsea, you'll be absolutely astounded when you actually get him playing. Him and Enzo have been poor. Come on, man. Real talk.
If you're watching, Don, please go get a hug. Do something. Don't be triggered, because you will be when you mention Enzo not being good. I thought Caicedo in the last 2 or 3 months started to look really strong. In the last couple of months, I thought
Listen, he's picked up, but he's not had a good season, has he? 2 months.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, saying that when will they? Sorry, that they will win the league. He didn't say they will win the league. He said we should be able to challenge or win it. Like, he hasn't said outright they will win it. Well,
that's a sort of the same thing, though, isn't it? Really,
if you say you're challenging, that means you've got a chance of winning. Like, I don't think you can say I'm in a title challenge and not say you've got a chance of winning. Yeah, I think you'll get, again, I'm calling Don out here. Don will say, I said we'd challenge, not that we could win the league. They amount to the same thing. Yes, in a court of law, you're not going to get them word for word. But it says at Chelsea, nothing will change. When will Todd Bowley learn? Can you imagine if they employed him just because he said that in an interview versus everybody else that said it's going to take 2 or 3 years? And that's what I'd love to listen. This could work out for Chelsea and we'll never get there. But I wonder, and I want to throw this out there now just as a side thought. He could be sacked in December, like you say, and then all the stories come out that the other managers said it was going to take 2 or 3 years to recover Chelsea. He said he could get you winning the league next year, and they went for him. If that's the reason they've gone for him, that shows the naivety. That shows the naivety of their ownership. If that's true.
The reason they've gone for him is because he can get the best out of Enzo.
That's my problem with all these red flags. Do you know my problem with all these red flags? Yeah. And they are red flags, and they'd be red flags at my club too. So if Man United's manager is coming at, listen, if we get a manager that says I'm going to get the best, I'm going to get Casemiro's legs back, I'm going to make Scott McTominay look like Zidane. If we get someone that comes in and says, watch, Maguire is going to be Yapstam 2.0, they're all red flags to me. The problem is with all these statements they've made about Enzo Maresca is it's all too perfect. It's all, do you get me? All the problems he's fixing. And in his interview, he went, I'll fix this person and that person, and this will be better. And it's almost like, come on now. Like, there should be an element of him that's like, fuck this guy off, and no, he's rubbish, and I don't know. It all just seems a little too neat, but maybe that's just me being a cynic. There's a PR angle, managing fan belief versus pressure on yourself. I agree, though. Enzo didn't need to say it. Yeah, he didn't. Enzo has not said that Cava did Terry, just riling up LB and Potts. Well, I showed it on the screen. They can read. They can see that a journalist has said this. But who do you think has told them this? Like, it's Chelsea Football Club briefing the media, my friend. It's in the media briefings. How do I know? My partners at Give Me Sport get the same media briefs that come into their press desk. The clubs release information. That's why you're getting very similar stories from multiple outlets about all the reasons why they've hired Enzo. It's from the club, my friend. I ain't twisting anything. I mean, I literally put on the screen who and what was said. How am I twisting it? It says there, look, via. It's there. Come on now, my friend. Mr. LB, I will send my lawyers to help City. Smile, please. T, do you like Ten Hag saying you will win the FA Cup? I did. Listen, this is the thing. I didn't. So when he said this season, the same as last season, these players will go and bring back the FA Cup, my gut reaction was, because how poor we were at the time, was don't say that, because it's only going to get clipped up if we don't win. I don't feel confident in my team yet. I would rather us played it down, and we went on to win it. We ended up battering City, outclassing City. We were so much better than City. Mainu bossing Rodri, but still, I'm just someone that thinks the powder should be kept dry. Oh, Mr. LB, your smile is precious to my heart.
Jesus.
Are you doing these yourself? Was it you, LB, while you were away?
It's me sending you this currency. I don't know what that is, bro.
Yeah, I don't know what country that's from, to be fair, but that's some serious. That's a serious take. That's a serious crush he has on you there. DJ here says it's amusing, Terry, trying to twist everything Chelsea related. City have shown all this balance. City, he shows all this balance for 115, but us for months, weekly bashing, no
I
point
don't think
watching.
City fans will agree with that, to be honest.
No,
You,
City fans don't think this is the maddest bit. You've just proven it there, LB. City fans don't think I'm balanced simply because I'm talking about it. Chelsea fans don't think I'm being balanced because I'm asking questions. What have I said, DJ, about the Enzo appointment? I said I think it's either going to be amazing or disastrous. I said I don't think there's going to be any in between. You've either picked someone that's nowhere near ready, or you've gone and signed yourself someone who's going to be a fantastic manager. All I've stated that's negative is saying things like is letting the media know. So listen, your manager's probably right to say this in his interview, but your club shouldn't be releasing it. You don't need that pressure being put upon you. So I haven't been unbalanced in the Chelsea approach whatsoever. I haven't said it's going to be bad. I haven't said I haven't just said it's going to be bad. It's stupid. It's awful. I believe you could be a decent threat next year. I like the players you're linked to, the Seskos and the Olises. I've said you've got the ability to sign them. I push back against everybody that says your pull has gone because you've been at the Champions League for a few years. I have consistently defended Chelsea on these matters, but what I won't do is sit there and lie about things I believe in. Come on now, DJ. You're a long-time viewer. When Chelsea have been good, I've praised them. When Chelsea have been poor, I've criticized them. That is, in my opinion, is a definition of imbalance. Is a definition of balanced. But thank you for the super chat, brother.
What,
I do
what are we
appreciate
supposed to be? What are we supposed to be praising Chelsea about? That's what I need to know. What are we supposed to be praising Chelsea about? Do you spend £1 billion and finally come sixth? What are we supposed to be doing here? Like, are we supposed to be going? That's how I want my football club run. £1 billion and we finally got Europe back. Get in there. Like, what's going on here? I don't understand what the hell we're supposed to be praising this club for doing. It is a case study on how not to run a football club.
Dan, this is the maddest thing, yeah, because you know with Chelsea, right? They was probably, in fact, no, not probably, they were the most ruthless club in this country on the Roman, right?
Absolutely.
And it worked. It worked, yeah? They won so much stuff, Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues, and listen, not everyone wants the club to be run like that. But if you'd rather your club not win a Premier League in 20 years or whatever it is, Spurs, 60 years, whatever it is, first, you go down the whole process thing. They had a strategy that worked and it was ruthless. Hiring and firing managers, you deliver success or you're gone. And it's the same with the players, right? And the fans sort of got it. The fans understood it. And now there are some Chelsea fans that have just sort of like, they're almost just completely turned
they have.
around.
They're really hurt as well by this. They're hurt that we're now going, God, don't Chelsea look bad? They want to go, no, we're a good club. We're a massive club. You're not anymore. You're looking terrible.
This is why I'm quite surprised, though, bro. Because I'm surprised, and I thought Chelsea fans would be like, yeah, we are terrible. This isn't acceptable for our club. But some of them are just
I was expecting that. And you know what? Fair play to a few of them because they are. They're like, get this ownership out. I want to be right on the pitch. What the hell are we doing? Sixth ain't good enough for my club. You got some that are like, so excited for these signings. We're going to be getting in like this ownership, spending money. And I'm like, wow, if you think this is good, fair play to you, but your standards are in the gutter. And all they'll do is go, do you know what? You support Arsenal or you support Spurs or you support West Ham. Forget that. I don't care if you support Colchester United or Real Madrid. Chelsea are not doing well at the moment. And when Maresca comes out and says that, massive pressure. Massive pressure.
This is here. It says that this message wasn't for you, as in I think to all of us, but to me, Terry. But for the Chelsea fans, fan bases are different. I understand why they've done it, and it's got a lot of Chelsea fans excited. My point is, and I'm using the experience of my club pushing out PR that we didn't need, is that it builds expectations and it can become problematic. And with where you have been, still relative inexperience of your squad, the very inexperienced nature of your manager, the club should be controlling the PR and controlling the narrative and playing down the expectations and playing down the pressure. Because when you put it out there, it will be like a red rag to a bull. And that includes rivals coming for you. And we know what people say online gets into dressing rooms. The media coming for you, some of your own fans coming for you, pundits coming for you. One of the worst things Ten Hag said is about ending eras. He should never have said it. When he first said it, we all went, whoa. I look back now and I wish he never had done, because every time he started to have bad patches, that is shoved in his face and rammed down his throat and has been a factor in what has stopped us from progressing. So look, Chelsea fans can be excited about it. That is absolutely, you're right. I'm staying on the fence on this one. I don't know how good of a manager he is, but I think the club should protect their manager and stop pushing this information out, play it down as much as possible, do your work in silence and then come out here and shock the world is what I would say if you truly believe it's going to go the right way. TM says, although I do like the Olise and Sesko links to Chelsea, the one that if Chelsea hijack will be defining is if they sign who?
Don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is. I'm actually going to Google it. Why don't I know this? But maybe the person has misspelt it.
Riccardo Calciafiore, Italian footballer.
Yeah, I don't know much about him at all.
Bologna centre back. Juventus in talks for him. Apparently 22. I've never heard of him.
I will do. I mean, I thought I was about to get done with an empty cabinet there, so that's why I had to check it. But I'll research him, but I don't know much about him, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do. But I'll take your word for it, TM. Thank you. Mr. LB, your smile makes my heart flutter.
LB's getting a lot of love, man. A lot of love today. LB
a lot of love. What are you talking? I've been cooked the whole stream, bro.
Now, listen,
at war with the Premier League.
All that matters, bro.
Cooking me before. I said something bad about Arsenal, then he started cooking me again. What are you talking about, bro? You've been in a different stream.
Bruv, do you know what? All that matters is Donna loves you. That's all that matters. That's all you need. Love from Donna Cullen. That's all that matters, bro.
Look at this here. Oh, that's that LB smile. Does me talking slowly and deeply into the mic make it better or worse, LB?
I'm going to hand in my resignation letter after this. So, yeah, this is my last appearance on the show, guys.
Donna wants you, LB. Donna wants you. Arteta forever. Pep's number 2. Check the table. That's quite funny, actually. Where do you see City strengthening, LB?
The legal department.
That's your transfer budget gone, bruv. You spent it all on Kardashian.
You got to laugh at it. I got to laugh.
That's funny. I like that. Terry is from Dan. He says, Terry is one of the most unbiased football content creators on YouTube. His panels, not so much. Chelsea banter has been justified for the last 2 years, though.
Big up, man. Yeah. Big up.
LB Potts, your critique is fine. Long-term viewer, I've just noticed for months the way Terry riles up panels whenever Chelsea related. Hammer is, but no balance. But he's not been good. So obviously, when Chelsea fans or Chelsea's board say or do things, I've got to ask the panel. I can't ignore it, my friend. I do get what you. And listen, if you guys are really good, you know I'm going to be the first one to go, wow, look how good they look. They're getting it right. You know that's how I'm built, mate. So I'm sorry you feel that way, brother. I'll try and be a bit more balanced for you.
Imagine if the Chelsea fans went through what me and you have been through on panels in the last few years. Jesus.
But I think maybe it's because it's like the first time Chelsea really going through this. I've been in it for 10 years, and you realize it's
I'm
hard
used to this. Yeah, man.
Like my team, even when we win, we get slagged off. Like we won 2 trophies 2 years running, and we're still ripped into. This here from Pav. He says, by the way, I want to defend Igal on his thoughts on Mbappe. Arsenal fans keep it together through the season, and hence being delusional is absolutely okay in pre-season. Here's my big Kai Havertz is better than Ronaldo and Messi, hence he is the king. What Igal, I don't think we saw it last night. What Igal said is that Mbappe shouldn't go to Real Madrid. He should go to a smaller club and win Champions Leagues there because it would mean more than winning them with Real Madrid.
Oh, it means more. We're doing this again. It means more. Why can't people just go wherever they want and play for whoever they want and just win whatever they want?
Because maybe that means more to him. It's one of those things you can't quite quantify it, but I do disagree with his overarching point. I mean, he's right to a degree. If he only goes there and wins 1 Champions League, if he'd have gone to Arsenal and won 2, it would mean more because it'd be 2 versus 1. But there's so many records he could go and achieve at Real Madrid. I mean, actual league dominance for a period of time, as an example. But yeah, I hear you on that. Dan, thoughts on Petit's comment?
Loved it. One of the only ex-Arsenal football pundits, if you can call him a pundit, he does bits and pieces everywhere, that says it how it is, man. I don't know if people know, but he basically called out and said, look, this is a great Arsenal side, but it hasn't won anything, and it needs to. People won't remember coming second place. And you're not allowed to say that, it seems, without sounding positive, negative or toxic. But he's absolutely bang on. You know, this will not be remembered in 30 years' time that Arsenal come second against Man City and took them all the way to the last day of the season. Nobody will remember that. And that's what Petit's saying, and I agree with it. We've got to get across the line, man. Otherwise, this team will not be remembered. So I think it's facts what he said.
No, I agree. It's a hard truth, but it's the truth of football. Essentially, you as good as Arsenal are at football and as excellent as the journey has been, if you want to be remembered in the game, you've got to win trophies. And I think that's the same for teams and players. Like, one of the reasons why I would like Vinicius Jr. did it 2 Champions League finals running now where he scored winning goals. I was so happy to see Mainu score in the FA Cup final and Bruno have a good game, because from a legacy point of view, with what everyone's trying to build at their Pacific clubs or in world football, when you step up and you deliver, like Mainu, 19 years old in an FA Cup final, I'm not saying that puts him on par with, Phil Foden's yet, because it's one trophy, but it's a start, and you've got to bring them. Individual players have got to perform, and their teams have got to win these trophies for them to go up to that legendary level. You can't get near it without the trophies. You spot on. Oh, hang on, LB. Mr. Terry, can you MC my wedding with Mr. LB? I can do that. Also, lights were out in my city in India, so messaging now. Justice for Orignal. I love it. It was a really, really good debate with him yesterday, and I enjoyed it very, very much. Look, I want to thank everybody that's tuned into the show today. Dan, LB, always a pleasure, boys, to speak football with you. It is. We'll be back tomorrow with more content, including Straight Facts with Hussam and Mo in the afternoon. This video is going to take you through to their next live stream on MHF. So make sure you guys and ladies are checking that out. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And oh my God, man.